Hello friends, welcome back again. I am Professor R.B. Bhandare. Welcoming you all for a new session on Introduction to Material Handling System. In this whole session, we will see the importance of material handling system in the industry, how the process of material handling system, then what are the guidelines in selecting the material handling equipments. Then we see what is the objective of material handling system, different types of material handling system equipments, and basically we focus on conveyor belt system, which is very important in case of material handling system. So let us start the session. Material handling system, generally in the material handling system we observe three activities. First is picking up the load, then transporting the load, and the last one setting the load to its destination. This is the whole process. Now when we talking about the material handling system, which type of load we will handle during this, that is a very important thing. There are two types of loads we will see. One is the bulk load and second one is the unit loads. In the bulk loads, basically large homogeneous particle or lump material like coal, mineral oil, mineral ore, sand, stone, clay, cement. This is come under bulk loads. When we talking about the unit load, in the unit load generally we transport the single piece material or maybe the pieces of material, but which is solid one or rigid masses. Suppose component of machine or maybe whole machine, that is we can say it is a unit load. Next is the containerization. Basically the containerization, it is the process of converting bulk load into unit load basically by using the containers or boxes. So when we talking about the containers, these are some examples of containers: wooden pallet boxes, or maybe tote boxes. These are the containers which is used to transport the bulk load and convert the bulk load into unit load. These are few more containers, wire mesh containers. Basically wire mesh containers are also very popular in the industry because of the following reasons: produces less noise, then self-cleaning ability of these containers, then cleaning, washing of parts without removing from the container, and transporting the part without removing from the container. And we can suppose the heat treatment process and this type of container if we are using, then it is very easy to dip into the chemical and again easy to clean that part as the chemical is coming out from that. In this way parts can dry and cool faster also in wire mesh containers. So this is very popular in the industry. What are the guidelines for selecting the material handling equipment? So here are the guidelines. So direction of load travel, that is a very important parameter while selecting the material handling equipment. Suppose we have to transport the material in a vertical or in very close length, or we can say for a distance, then we prefer hoist, crane or elevators. And if the direction of load is horizontal one and the distance is also large, then we can prefer the conveyors. Second parameter or guideline, it is length of load. Suppose the length of travel it is very large, then we prefer the conveyors, and for shorter distance again we prefer the conveyors, cranes or elevators or hoist. Type and properties of the load, this is again an important parameter. Which type of load we are handling. Suppose the bulk load, for bulk load we generally prefer conveyors, and hoist it is generally for unit loads. Properties, when we talking about the unit loads, weight, then hardness, surface finish, all these properties are very important. But for bulk loads generally the lump size, then density, temperature, chemical properties. These are very important parameters when we talking about the bulk loads. Characteristic of production process. Generally for assembly lines, paint shops, we use conveyors, and forging and welding shops, we prefer the cranes. So in this way, we can, these parameters are very important. Local conditions also is an important parameter. In this case, local parameters like shape, size of area, then type of energy available, type and design of building, then climatic conditions, safety requirement. These are the local conditions which will also affect while selection of the material handling equipment. Initial and operating cost. This is a common parameter in many cases while selecting any equipment, because the maintenance cost and is a very important thing while selecting the material handling equipment. Then next is the objective of material handling system. What are the objective basically when we selecting the material handling system which should be fulfilled? So accuracy in transporting the load to destination. This is a very important parameter, because the accuracy should be important while transporting the component. Precision in pickup and also unloading, it is very important. Schedule time, whatever your transportation time, it is also important for the industry when we transport the load. It may be unit load or it may be bulk load for your production process. Required quantity, whatever the required quantity for production process or for assembly lines, and it should be achieved within a particular scheduled time. So this is also one more objective. And next thing, it is without damage, means there should not be any damage during the transportation. So that is also important parameter. Minimum manpower. Yes, when we are using the transportation system of our material handling equipment, it is our prime thinking that whatever the manpower required, it should be low and it should be at low cost. So these are the next objective. If there is any problem with the material handling equipment, it should be easy to maintenance and it is easy to maintain actually. So maintenance cost or whatever the maintenance time, it should be very less. And yes, operational safety, that should be our objective always in the industry. So these are the all objective when we select any material handling system, and it should be fulfilled. Next, classification of material handling equipments. Basically, material handling equipments categorized under this three category: hoisting equipment, surface and overhead equipment, and conveyors. When we talking about the hoisting equipments, in this generally hoisting machine, crane and elevators come, in which basically we transport the unit load. These are all equipments basically we prefer for the transporting the unit load for a less distance travel, and also within good accuracy. That is our target when we talking about the hoisting equipments. So see here, these are the hoisting equipments. This is the hoisting machine. This is your cranes and these are your elevators. Next is the surface and overhead equipments. In this generally tractorless trucks, narrow gauge car. We also see these are also very popular in the industry when we talking about the overhead equipments. Next is the conveyors. Conveyors already we see in many industries, generally in the assembly lines or in the paint shops generally. Let us see. So these are few example of non-powered industrial trucks: two-wheel hand truck, four-wheel dolly, hand-operated low-lift pallet truck. So which we see generally in this industry. These are the non-powered or manually operated mostly. Then this is a powered trucks. In this generally the batteries are used to transport the load. This is the drive unit where actually the batteries are installed. This is your steering and control system is here, and we can transport the pallet or this is our regular pallet, and on this generally the unit load or maybe your bulk load boxes containers are placed. We can easily transport from one place to the another. This is a walkie truck. This is a forklift. This is also very popular in the industry. This is towing tractor. So in this way we see these are the few equipments which is mostly used in the industry for material handling system. Next is the conveyor system. As we know that the conveyor system, it will use to transport the load for a large distance, but it has a fixed location and fixed path. So we can easily not make the modification in conveyor system, or it is not convenient. So we know the fixed path of our process, then we can easily use the conveyor, which is very convenient for that purpose. In conveyors, again, two categories are there: powered conveyors and non-powered conveyors. In powered conveyors, power mechanisms is used for a fixed path for again by using a belt or maybe the rollers to transport the load along the fixed path. Again, mostly the battery operated conveyors we are using, or maybe sometimes we are using the electric power also. In non-powered conveyors, material are moved either manually or by human workers who push the load along the fixed path. Then when we talking about that, again types of conveyor, there are a variety of availability or equipment in the conveyor again, and mostly we are see the roller conveyor. The pathway consists of series of tubes or rollers that are perpendicular to the direction of travel. We see here these are the rollers, and this is perpendicular to the travel of travel. Then we see the rollers are contained in a fixed frame that elevates the pathway above the floor level from the several inches to several feet. So basically the ergonomics standards we prefer while installing the roller conveyor system. So it is from the ground at certain fields. So if it is manually operated, it should be easily handled, and the ergonomic standards should be followed. Flat pallet carrying unit load are moved forward as a roller rotate. Yes, as the roller rotate, a roller power is given to the drive side, and it will easily transmit the load without much efforts. Roller conveyors are used in a wide variety of applications, as we see in manufacturing and assembly. Generally in the packaging industry, we see rollers, conveyor system or roller conveyors are very popular. This is the belt conveyor. Again, in the belt conveyor, one drive roller is there, or maybe drive pulley if it is a big conveyor, and on the other side there is a idler or maybe the driven pulley or a driven roller. In between, suppose we require the support, then a support slider, or maybe sometimes the rollers are used. So we can easily transmit the bulk or maybe the unit load by using the belt conveyors. These are the few more types. Chain conveyors consist of endless chain running over the drive or head sprocket. In the chain conveyor, generally, suppose we have to transmit the hot components or heat treated components, so this is also suitable there. At chain conveyors, it is suitable there for the purpose of transportation. Then screw conveyor, generally the sludge material or maybe the wet material we can transmit by using a screw conveyor. In this, the one screw is there, or it is also called as worm, in the form of helix. We see here, this is our inlet point and this is our outlet point. So, and this is our whole tube. So by rotation of screw, our material it is transferred to the outlet section, generally for wet material, or we can in this sludge transportation we generally prefer the screw conveyors. Next is when we talking about the belt conveyor system, this is the general layout of the belt conveyor system. We see one by one all the components. From this place actually material it is pour on the belt, and this is our carry side of the material and on the head end we will discharge the material to its destination. This is our head pulley. So one by one we will see how this layout is. This is general layout of belt conveyor system. So see here, one is our conveyor belt. See here, this is our one component one, that is our conveyor belt. This is our conveyor belt. Then component 2 is drive or head pulley. See here, this is 2. This is our drive pulley or head pulley, which will rotate as the power equipment. It is coupled with this drive pulley, and it will rotate it will operate the whole system. So this is our drive pulley. Third, this is 3, that is our tail pulley, or we can also say it is a driven pulley. 4 is a snub pulley. See here, to change the direction of the belt we using the snub pulley. So see here, generally for the snub pulley, the diameter of the snub pulley, it is half of the drive or tail pulley. And generally for horizontal belt conveyor, head pulley and tail pulley having the same diameter. So this is our snub pulley. It will change the direction of the belt. 5 and 6, these are the idlers. See here, this is our 5 and this is our 6. Generally on carry side, when we put the idlers will support our belt or our whole carry system, which will also help the belt to carry the material on it. So these are the carry run idlers, 5, and 6 it is a return run idlers. So return run idlers, it will support the belt during the return side. 7 it is the bend pulley. See here, this is the bend pulley. Bend pulley again used to change the direction of the belt. Basically it will help to maintain the tension in the belt. See here, 7 it is the bend pulley. 8 it is a take up pulley. Take up pulley, it is used here to maintain the tension in the belt, to avoid the slip in the belt. And 9 it is the counterweight. See here, this is 9, which is our counterweight. And counterweight it is added here to maintain the tension in the belt. 10 and 11, it is a belt cleaner. So see here, this is our 10 and this is 11. So basically this is used to clean the belt on both the side. As we carry the material, some material it is stick to the belt, and to avoid the any damage to the belt, we generally use the belt cleaner to clean the belt. Next is feeder and hooper. 12 is feeder. See here, from the feeder generally material it is poured on the belt with a required mass flow rate or with a required mass capacity. Hooper, in the hooper we generally load the material, and from the hooper through the feeder material it is fed on the belt. So this is general layout of horizontal belt conveyor system. Okay, now we see in detail how the calculation and how all these components are calculated one by one as we focus on belt conveyor system. So again, see here one more belt conveyor system. It is a blanket belt conveyor. Generally it is used for high inclination purpose. See here, this is our feed belt conveyor, means this will feed the material on the next conveyor system. Now the material it is fed on this main belt conveyor, and we see here the inclination is very large, and when the inclination is more than 35 degree, we generally use blanket belt conveyor. So this is our blanket belt conveyor, which will help basically to transport the material at high inclination. So this is an auxiliary system to transport the material at high inclination. So blanket belt conveyor basically prefer to transport the material at high inclination. This is woven wire belt conveyor, it is used for quenching baths, washing plants. Generally, in the heat treatment process or in the cleaning process, we are using this type of conveyor where material that is transported in the bulk, and during the process it will clean. So we can prefer wire belt conveyor as it is a self cleaning abilities there and easily drying is possible. So same is here, drying the paint. We are using the woven wire belt conveyors. This is next one is the trot belt conveyors. So see here, this is a single roller, and when we are using the multiple rollers or idlers to transport the material, we can basically increase the mass capacity. We are using the trot belt conveyor. So see here, this is a single roller, and see here, here are the three idlers or three rollers, and on above this there is a belt, and we can transmit more material compared to this in three idlers trot belt conveyor. And we go for the five idlers. Again we using the mass capacity, we increase the mass capacity. Here capital B is nothing but it is your width of belt, and small b is nothing but whatever the effective width of the belt which is used, that is small b. This beta is nothing but whatever the inclination of this inclined roller or idler make with your horizontal roller or horizontal axis. Same is here, beta and beta 1 when we are using multiple idlers. H, it is nothing but it is the height of the material or bulk material. It is created from the belt. What is psi? We will see psi in the upcoming slide. So when we talking about the mass capacity or volumetric or flow rate of a horizontal belt conveyor, how much material it is transported from it, how the mass capacity is calculated is by the simple formula. Volumetric capacity is equal to C into B square into V. C is nothing but our surcharge factor. B, it is the effective width of the belt which is utilized to transport the material. V is the belt speed. See here, it is the belt speed. Now this is the volumetric capacity, and when we are talking about the mass capacity, we multiply volumetric capacity with mass density of the material, that is the rho into Q, that is your mass capacity, and in by simple formula we can calculate the mass capacity of the conveyor system. C is nothing but the surcharge factor. How this C value is calculated, we see in the next slide. Other parameters, when we talking about the effective belt width, almost 90% of the belt width it is utilized to transport the material. See here, 0.9 into capital B. Capital B is nothing but it is the actual width of the belt. 0.9 minus 0.05 means almost 90% width it is utilized to transport the material. And when we talking about the volumetric capacity, generally we calculate the volumetric capacity in meter cube per hour. And when we talking about the mass capacity, generally we calculate the mass capacity in kg per hour or generally in tons per hour. Surcharge factor. Now surcharge factor, basically when we talking about the surcharge factor, it is depends on mass capacity, or we can say how many idlers or type of belt it is used. And second thing, angle of repose of material. As we talking about the psi is the angle of repose. Angle of idlers with horizontal, when we are using 3 idlers we have only beta, and when we are using 5 idlers we also have beta 1. So this angle will also decide how much the value of surcharge factor. By using this information we can easily calculate the surcharge factor from this table, or generally it has a standard value. Suppose it is a flat belt conveyor, so it is in between 0.067 to 0.09. Generally for flat belt conveyor we are using the C value as 0.075, and angle of repose of material, it is generally 15 to 20. It is common generally, it is whatever the angle made by the material with a horizontal. See here, angle of repose and angle of surcharge. See here, what is the angle of repose? When we pour the material on the belt, whatever the angle created by the bulk material with belt or with a horizontal line, that is called an angle of repose. And when we talking about the angle of surcharge means angle of repose, it is generally, this angle is measured when belt is stationary, and when belt is rotating with with certain velocity, then material is settled down on the belt and that angle is come down or it is less, so that is generally angle of surcharge. Angle of surcharge is always less than angle of repose, as angle of repose is angle when material is poor and belt is stationary, and angle of surcharge when belt is moving with certain velocity. Then we talking about the diameter of pulley. When we discuss about the calculation of the layout of the belt system, we see one by one all the parameters. So second parameter is the diameter of drive and tail pulley, and it is very easy to calculate. So the formula is very simple: K1 into K2 into ZP. K1 is nothing but your material factor for plies, and K2 is the belt tension and arc of contact factor. We see in the next slide how to select these values. ZP is the number of ply. When we do the calculation for the belt, we generally decide how many ply to our belt. So that value we can directly select, that is Z. And K1 and K2 we can select from this table. Suppose we know the belt material, we can easily select the K1 value from this table. So see here, these are the different material for the belt. It is written here rayon, duck in the combination with capron and alsonite, capron. So see here, this is the different material. For this different material of the ply, it will decide our K1 value. So if we know the material, we will basically select the material of the belt. So we can easily select the value from this table of K1. Second is the material factor K2. Basically K2 is depends on whatever the total tension in the belt, tension on tight side and tension on slack side. This tension is less, your value of K2 is less, and also arc of contact factor theta. If the arc of contact factor is large, our K2 is large. Again, arc of contact factor is less, our K2 is less. Again, by using these two parameters, we can easily calculate the value of K2, or you can easily select the value of K2 from this table. Next is, as we calculate the diameter of pulley, next thing we have to calculate the width, or we can say length of pulley, that is LP. LP is nothing but B plus 2S, where B is nothing but width of our belt, and S is nothing but whatever the side margin we keep on the pulley. So this is capital B, which is the width of belt, and S is nothing but the side margin. Side margin, it is in between 60 to 75 we can keep. So let us see the numerical on this topic, how to calculate the mass capacity, how to calculate the diameter of pulley, then how to select the parameters. Let us see few numericals on this topic. So here is one numerical, a horizontal belt conveyor. Now this is a horizontal belt conveyor which has a bulk material density. So density rho value is given 200 kg per meter cube. Surcharge factor, it is directly given 0.075. When there is a flat belt conveyor, generally we select this value in between 0.69 to 0.09. So generally we prefer this value 0.075 if it is not given for flat belt conveyor. Belt width is 800 mm. Belt speed is 1.75 meter per second, and we have to calculate the capacity of conveyor. Means basically we have to calculate mass capacity as density is given. So capital M is equal to rho into Q. We know that, and how to calculate the Q? We have this formula to calculate the volumetric capacity, C into D square, small b square, and small b is nothing but 0.9 capital B minus 0.05. So in this way, from this formula we directly calculate the Q value, and from that we can calculate the mass capacity by multiplying the rho with Q value, and we get the mass capacity. See here, this is the Q value we get from this formula. As we know, the B value, belt width is given 800 mm, C is given 0.075, velocity is given 1.75 meter per second. From this we directly get the Q value, and by multiplying Q with this density we directly get the mass capacity, which is 424.21 ton per hour. So this is very simple to calculate the mass capacity. Next, again we see one more problem. Now in this, again horizontal belt conveyor is used. So it is there is only one idler, we can say. Rate of carrying bulk material is 300 into 10⁻³ kg per hour, or we can say 300 ton per hour. This is mass capacity is given. Bulk material density is given 800 kg per meter cube. Angle of repose for bulk material is given 15 degree. Belt speed is 10 km per hour. Material factor for plies is 2. Then belt tension and arc of contact factor, it is 63, and number of plies given, it is 4. So from this, suppose we have to calculate the mass capacity already given. So in this, generally the unknowns are width of belt and diameter and length of belt of drive pulley. So one by one we will see how to calculate the belt width of belt. As we see the formula already in this formula, Q is equal to, in the first numerical, C into B square into V. By using this formula we can calculate the width of belt, small b or capital B. Basically we require the capital B, so we can easily calculate the capital B from this. From this we can easily calculate the capital B. Let us see. So this is the formula. From this formula we get the capital B value, as Q value is given in terms of m, and density is also given. From this we directly calculate the capital B value. Next is, now for this, surcharge factor is not given in this numerical, but angle of repose is 15 degree. As we know, this value is common. Angle of repose, it is in between 15 to 20 degree. We see in the table, but this is a horizontal flat belt conveyor, and as there is only one idler, we can say, then we can take the C value from the first problem. It is 0.075 directly, as it is not given. So we take the average value in between 0.069 to 0.09 from table. So we take this value 0.075 and we can calculate Q. Q is given, so we calculate the B value. So see here, we get the B value 850 mm. For the diameter, again we have the formula K1 K2 into ZP. So we get the diameter 510. K1 is given, K2 is given, ZP is 4. So directly get the diameter. Now we have to calculate the length of pulley, length of belt of drive pulley. So for the length, basically the formula is B plus 2S, that is a side margin, and as we discussed, side margin is in between 60 mm to 75 mm. We select the maximum value. So we take the 75, 2S. So 75 plus 75 is 150 and B is 850. So from this formula, B plus 2S, B is 850, S is 75, we select into 2. So 850 plus 150, it is 1000. So in this way we calculate length of belt of drive pulley, it is 1000 mm, and in this way very easily we can calculate the parameters. We see few more parameters and few more numerical, and how to calculate the number of idlers, how to calculate the reduction ratio or gearboxes and dimensions in the upcoming videos. Thank you very much.